The radicalization in this country is largely taking place online and on social media. Now, one of the biggest social media platforms is under the control of Elon Musk, a man who loves Russian dictator Vladimir Putin and who likely will re-platform Donald Trump. Musk's Twitter takeover has already sparked a full-scale return of unchecked misogyny, racism, and anti-Semitism to the platform. The far right swept onto the platform this morning, seemingly just to post the N-word repeatedly and to hurl anti-Semitic insults. This comes the same day Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband was brutally attacked at their San Francisco home when an assailant broke in yelling, "Where's Nancy?" just like the January 6th insurrectionist. Now, if you were to look at the attacker's social media footprint, you'd see signs of that very radicalization just littering the place, with various memes and conspiracy theories about COVID-19 vaccines, global warming, Jewish people, and QAnon fan fiction like the supposed cover-up of mass pedophilia rings, and surprise, surprise, conspiracy theories about the 2020 election and January 6th. It's almost like his brain was constructed like Legos by right-wing media and their pet politicians. Joining me now is NBC's senior reporter Ben Collins, who covers disinformation in the dark web. And let's just get right to this attacker. Thank you for being here, Ben. I'm just going to put up a few of the things. You know, I talked about it: global warming, Jewish people, transhumanism, COVID-19 vaccines. It is not at all surprising that this was the background. But do we get anything else of motive from the stuff that he put up, or was there anything indicating that he might be violent?
Yeah, I just want to be clear. We can't ascribe motive. The police are still looking through this thing. But these blogs that the police are looking through here talk constantly about, this cabal, basically, that we have heard so much about on the far-right internet. And the far-right internet has effectively placed Nancy Pelosi at the top of that cabal recently. I don't know what it is. It's not Joe Biden to them. I think they think he's not really with it enough, so they have to put somebody else there, so they've chosen a woman, and that woman is Nancy Pelosi. And that's what's going on in these forums, so it makes a lot of sense that that's where this person would end up. And I do want to bring up the transhumanism thing, too. A lot of people don't even know what that is, and they shouldn't, because it's insane, but it's all over the far-right internet. There's this belief that eventually they were trying to dehumanize us by either turning us into robots or, injecting us with stuff through the vaccine. And the point of it is to make it so we're more acceptable to leaders, so we can be more dehumanized. And they think trans people are part of this plan. It's completely ridiculous, but it's also vertical on Breitbart. So this is all over the almost regular parts of the conservative internet, and the extremist parts are even more all in on it.
I expect it to be on Tucker soon, because it seems like whatever's on 4chan and 8chan ends up on there some. Because the problem is there doesn't seem to be a right-wing medium that's saying this is a bridge too far. We're not going to go here, right? It's all fair game. It used to be that QAnon seemed loopy, and then all of a sudden aspects of it are now in sort of normal, what used to be normal Republican politics. You have Donald Trump now basically signaling to QAnon. It seems incredibly dangerous, which brings me to Elon Musk, who will probably let Trump back on, and Trump will pretend like he doesn't want to and then get back on. But, just today, this was day one of Elon Musk Twitter, and it was already a garbage fire of racism, people just doing the N-word over and over and over again, people saying things about Jewish people. This is like back to the bad old days of Twitter, and that was fast. You've been pretty pessimistic about where this goes from here, but, here's all the panoply of people who could get back on: Alex Jones, Mike Lindell, Steve Bannon, Marjorie Greene. Well, she's going to soon be ex-Mrs. Greene, Michael Flynn, Roger Stone. Like, the whole gang might be back on, right? Soon.
Oh, yeah, I would assume, pretty soon that will happen. He talked today about establishing a council to go through why people were booted off, they're allowed back on. No idea who's going to be in that council, but then he said later on, if you were kicked off for frivolous reasons, for stupid reasons, we'll just let you back on. Well, what's a frivolous reason to Elon Musk? I really don't know. And part of the reason, the issue is this guy doesn't understand the space, or he's willfully ignorant to the space, right? The reason that, for example, instances of the N-word were up, hundreds of percentage points today on Twitter is because that was pushed from 4chan and a bunch of challenges on those far-right spaces to just see what you could get away with, to see if, it wasn't just the anti-trans stuff that was allowed again. If you could say everything else, every other kind of hate. And they've largely gotten away with it over the course of the day. So I don't know what the site's going to look like. Obviously, day one is not pretty, but it's either what we've seen so far is either malice or grave incompetence.
And the thing is it's not just that it's a dumpster fire. It's also the disinformation, because I would expect that you're going to get more disinformation about vaccines, more of this. And that's the kind of stuff that was fueling this guy that attacked Speaker Pelosi. So if that stuff gets platformed on something as big as Twitter, doesn't that seem pretty dangerous?
Yeah, it's not just the one guy, by the way, right? Joy, like, it's not just, you can't bring up Pizzagate or something. It's that Pizzagate's trending at #1 on Twitter, forcing, the Gateway Pundit or these far-right websites to write about it and try to legitimize them to their audience, because they realize there's an audience there that they have to, give. It's like a feedback loop. They have to give more of their audience to this perceived audience on Twitter, which can be saturated with bots or people trying to amplify something before an election. This is standard disinformation warfare stuff that was pushed initially by the Russians, as we know, and other and the Chinese as well, other adversarial governments. But it's been picked up by regular political movements all throughout the United States. So that's the worry, is that we are, if the guardrails are off, we're not going to have a regular conversation about anything. We're just going to be beating back against the tide of intentional nonsense.
And know that the people who are pushing that stuff are going to vote. So the question is the other side going to vote? Because those people who believe all of this stuff and think there's transhumans and things, they're going to vote. Ben Collins, thank you very much for being here.